What's going on, guys? SpikeZillion here, back with another video, and today I wanted to go back and do an update on SOLFACHORDS. So, we have the SOLFACHORD deck right here, and it's going to be pretty interesting, because this time I'm not going to really go over the card by card as much. I just want to kind of talk about like some of the reasons why we have some of the cards we have here. Now, there's a couple interesting things that have happened since the last time we did SOLFACHORDS. We got a Link 3! Yay! We got a broken card! Yay! It's actually really stupid and really busted. Holy shit, this card is way too good. But we'll get to that in a moment. Let's go over the card by card quickly, because I do think this deck is going to be really good this format. So we have Kulia, the boss monster. Pretty much this is a Ghost Ogre when it's on field, for the most part. For baby monsters, not for big monsters, but that's fine. And this is the card you're going to scale most of the time so that your opponent cannot respond on Pendulum Summon, because it's broken. That's pretty good. Cutie has the other side of the scale, and when it's normal summoned or special summoned, you can add a SOLFACHORD monster from your deck to your hand, except herself. It's pretty good. We have Fancia. This is one of the other better normal summons other than Cutia, where basically this card will add a SOLFACHORD monster from deck to extra deck. So that's pretty good. We have Harmonizing Magician, which is obviously really good. That goes alongside the Celestial Magician that's here. Both these magicians are like some of the better pen magicians for other engines. We have Monkey Board, who you just happen to draw sometimes, and if you do, you just place Monkey Board on the board. And then after that, you get to search Celestial Magician. So that's another way to get to Celestial, other than using Pendulum Call, which goes along with Duelist Alliance. So Duelist Alliance, this card says, if there is a card in the Pendulum Zone, you add a Pendulum monster or a Pendulum Spell or Trap. In this case, you usually add Pendulum Call. And you go Pendulum Call, discard a card for cost to add 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names. In this case, it's usually Celestial and Harmonizing, but if you already have one of the two, you can add White Wing Magician. And this is what you'll special summon off of Harmonizing Magician's effect on summon. So there you go. It's pretty good cards. Pretty good set of cards right there. That's all the Magicians that we're going to basically be using. After that, let's go into Angelia. Angelia can be a tribute, not for cost, a tribute for effect, which is great, to summon out a scale that's 2 scales higher or 2 scales lower than the monster on field. In this case, Angelia can go into Kulia, or she can go into, I believe, Gracia? No, Fancia. Right, so it's either Kulia or Fancia, but then there's other stuff you can do. You can do stuff like go from Aledia to Cutia. If you, for some reason, got Aledia in your hand, I'm so sorry for your loss. You can go into Cutia, and that can special summon, or sorry, you can add a SOLFACHORD card. So that's pretty good. You could do stuff like go from Gracia to Aledia if you wanted to for some reason. Or you could go into Beautia, which is a significantly better monster. This has basically shit all construct on legs for a non-fusion monster. That's pretty solid. Pretty much, it's for a monster that has the highest scale than the highest attack than your lowest scale times 300. So basically, if the monster is 300 attack or higher, you get to destroy the monster on the start of the damage step. So it's pretty friggin' strong. It's pretty amazing. One of the better ones out of the entire game. Gracia is a spell search. She's really, really good. Obviously very strong. Also, when she attacks, she's like the Ancient Gears where you can't activate spell or traps until the end of the damage step when she attacks. Angelia is the same thing, but for monster effects, which is pretty solid too. Or no, sorry, it's the opposite. She's monster effects. She's spell or trap effects. Sorry, my bad. Aledia is on summon. You can bounce a spell or trap your opponent controls. Kind of whatever. Dreamia is a card destruction protection. So if a SOLFACHORD monster will be destroyed by card effect, you can destroy this card instead. Or I think it's a SOLFACHORD Pendulum monster card, which means that even if you had like Kulia in your Pendulum Zone, you can also protect it using this card. So it's not too bad. And it's monster cards too. So if it's Feather Duster, you can also just destroy this card for the full protection as well, which is awesome. Next we have, let's see, what have we not talked about yet? I think that's everything, right? Beauty we already talked about. Also for all of the SOLFACHORD monsters, just so we make a note of it now, levels 1 to 4 on the Pendulum scale will say the same thing. They can't be negated. The Pendulum summon of them cannot be negated, which means you can't Solemn Judgment, for example. And then the 5 through 8 level SOLFACHORDs all say that your opponent cannot activate a spell or trap card or monster effect when your SOLFACHORD Pendulum monster is Pendulum summoned, which is technically way better because then you can go Gracia effect, you can go Harmonizing Magician effect, and then something else, I don't know, Elidia effect. Those 3 effects could all happen. It doesn't matter what sequence they are, it doesn't matter. Your opponent literally cannot respond to that chain at all. Not at all, which is fantastic. So that's a really good part of this deck. Then we got the spell cards. This card is written like a custom card. It's ridiculous. It's called Sulfachord Elegance. It's worth like 50 cents and somehow still broken. So you can activate one of these effects. The first one's the worst one. You place a Sulfachord Pendulum monster from your deck into your Pendulum Zone, which sounds pretty good, but I promise you it's not nearly as good as the second effect, which is literally the same thing but better. Add a Sulfachord Pendulum monster from your hand to your extra deck face up. By the way, that's not ashable. Then place 2 Sulfachord Pendulum monsters, 1 odd and 1 even pendulum scale from your deck in your pendulum zones. So it's literally a 1-card scale that also places 1 monster into your extra deck face up, which is perfectly fine, because most of the time you place Gracia if you have her in hand. And then, yeah, you just place Cutia and Coolia, and that's it. You won. Congratulations. It's an incredible card. And then this third effect is also pretty good. This is the Ashable effect, where you add 2 cards, 1 odd and 1 even pendulum scale from your pendulum zones to the extra deck face up, and if you do, draw 2 cards. Now, because of the way that this is written out, you technically get to choose an effect first for cost, so that means that it is unashable. So you choose effect number 2, and then they can't ash. But if you choose this effect, then yes, you can get ashed. So that's a huge thing about this card, huge deal. But yeah, anyway, we have Harmonia. This is a fantastic field spell, because you get to use one of these effects, or each of these effects per turn. So this is fantastic. So the first effect is you add a face-up Sulfachord Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. That's always really good, just to recur cards all the time. Increase the pendulum scale of a Sulfachord card in your pendulum zone by its level this turn. Now, what you might not have noticed already is that each one of these monsters, their level and their scale will always equal 9. So Angelia will always equal 9, 6 plus 3. This is 3 plus 6. This is 8 plus 1. 1 plus 8, 4 plus 5, right? You get the picture, 5 plus 4, right? So they always equal 9. So basically you choose your highest scale out of the 2, and you make that 9. And then you could have like Coolia on the other side, so you have 1 to 9 as your scale, which is fantastic before you Pendulum Summon. Then the last effect is pretty amazing. If you control Sulfachord Pendulum monster cards with at least 3 different even pendulum scales, or at least 3 different odd pendulum scales, which is the most important side, non-target, destroy a card your opponent controls. Huge deal. This is a fantastic way to get removal going on this in this deck. And yeah, this is a fantastic card. This is probably your best search off of Gracia if you didn't already get Elegance at some point. Next, you have Sulfachord Symphony. Most people probably don't play this, but I do like it because it's a good one-of. You can kind of just throw it out there when you're already winning and win more with this card, basically. Apply these effects in sequence based on the number of face-up Sulfachord Pendulum monsters with different names in your extra deck. 3, you get to gain attack. Sulfachord Pendulum monsters you control gain attack equal to their own scale times 300, which is nuts, because then that means Cutia is a 2500 attack monster, if I'm not mistaken. That's insane. So yeah, they're big, right? If you control Sulfachord Pendulum monster cards with at least 3 different even pendulum scales, or, oh, sorry, this is the wrong card. I'm losing my mind. I apologize. You can destroy a card your opponent controls if you have 5 or more in your extra deck face-up. With different names, I believe. Yes, different names. So 5 different names, which is not that difficult to do. You can destroy 1 card your opponent controls. Then if you have an odd scale in your pendulum zone, draw 1 card. So you get to non-target destroy a card and draw a card, which is nuts. Then, if you have almost all of them in your extra deck face-up, you can special summon a Grand Sulfachord monster from your extra deck for free. So that is one of the 2, the Link 3 or the Link 2. That's insane. You just get to special summon them for free. That's ridiculous. So yeah, that and you can only activate 1 of these cards per turn. But it's each, you do each of the effects in sequence. That's pretty nuts. Next we have Triple Tactics Talent. Now you might be wondering, why is Talents in here why is Thrust in here and not Talents? Talents is in the side. Now, mind you, this side deck is kind of to be determined, but like the reason why Talents would want to be in the side anyway is because you don't really need it going first if you win dice roll in game 1. So, like, you could draw 2, but like, who really cares? I feel like Thrust, though, on the other hand, is a lot better, because the thing is with Thrust, is you can search any normal spell card, right? So there's Pendulum Call, Duelist Alliance, SOLFACHORD Elegance. There's so much to it. You could get the Soul of the Supreme King, which we're about to talk about. So this card is still insanely good, and this card less so in this deck in particular, because you kind of just want to get this anyway if you don't already have it. And most of the time, if you're getting Ashed or something, probably because you normal summoned Cutia because you didn't have Elegance already on the board. Most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So that's a big note, is that I feel like these two cards are better than Thrust Draw 2. Talents Draw 2. Jesus, I'm getting them mixed up like crazy. But yeah, you get the picture. I think Thrust is really, really good, and Talents, more good for Game 2 and 3, to be honest. Not as good for Game 1. And then next we have Soul of the Supreme King. This card is so stupid for a reason that I'm going to explain right after. So you pay half your life points, you special summon Supreme King Ziyark from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, but negate its effects. Now note that it says negate its effects. Because this card is a Link 3, this is the broken new SOLFACHORD we got. It gains 100 attack for each face-up Pendulum monster in your extra deck. The activated effects of Pendulum monsters this card points to cannot be negated. So we use this card, we special summon Ziyark, it attempts to destroy all cards your opponent controls on summon, and normally it would be negated, but guess what? She says, nuh-uh, boo-boo, nuh-uh, we destroy all cards, we don't care, because this card has crazy card text. So yeah, very wild, very crazy, very funny. So yeah, incredible trap card here. The other part doesn't really matter, but I guess if I played the cards, technically you could do the second part, but I don't really play them, so yeah. You kind of just want to have a giant Link library, to be honest, I feel like. But you could also play them. I'm not saying you can't. You could take out some stuff, like Boral Sword's probably not as useful as it used to be. You could maybe take out Aethermax in this deck and Underworld Goddess, but I like the removal that Underworld Goddess brings. So, yeah, I don't know. Kind of depends on what you need. But, yeah, pretty good card. And then the side cards, like I said, doesn't really matter right now. But Nibiru's pretty broken. D-Barrier's still insane. I can't believe this card still hasn't been hit yet. This is a crazy card. Evenly Matched is always good going second. And then Infinite Impermanence. I mean, it's always useful at some point. You could probably change this out for, like, Asher Droll or something. But, yeah, it's pretty good. And then, yeah, the Link list... Well, actually, the extract list in general is pretty interesting. We have Draco Berserker. It used to be Borreload Savage, but it's been banned. So this is the new solution I came up with, which is Draco Berserker. It's not a terrible second-hand decision, because you can make this in addition to Kulia on some boards. And that's not too bad, right? Because you get a Monster Banish, and then it also has a crazy attack gain effect, and it also is 3k, so it's like, you're not really getting anything bad out of this card. You can also potentially make this card alongside Access Code, so if you can't get to Kulia, this is another monster you can make to get exact game on board, because Access Code will be 53. So yeah, it's still pretty good, but it's not perfect, but this is the solution I've come up with, because Crystal Wing takes too much work to make. I can't really do that with this deck. The only way I could is if I made it with Herald of the Arclight, which I used to have in this deck, alongside Diviner of the Herald, since you could use her to special summon Cutia, but I actually think that this ended up being overall better, so, yeah. Although, Diviner of the Herald, great card, though. So, it kind of depends on what you want. I could probably make it a 45-card deck, but for now, I'm leaving it as is. Anyway, we actually have Access Code, no shit. I'll just go over all the Link 4s, honestly. We have Appaloosa, no shocker there. Boral Sword is pretty good, because sometimes you can't get into Access Code, other times you gotta do what you gotta do. So this is a pretty good alternative. We have Exceed the Pendulum. This is a pretty good card. Or no, this is not Link 4, sorry, we'll get to that in a second. Avermax, you know, IP plus Avermax, busted, right? And then Underworld Goddess is technically a Link 4, if you think about it. But yeah, she's a pretty solid card. Not much to really say about her. She's a great form of removal, great way to stay in shape. Then we'll go into Link 3. So we have Exceed the Pendulum. This card's pretty solid. It's basically the second half of Electromite's effect. That's pretty much what this card is meant to be, and it's a pretty solid card for that. It's not that bad. Then we have Kulia, which is the most broken card of the whole thing. We haven't really talked about the really strong part about this card. It's basically got Dragoon's effect. All this text that's happening at the bottom here, the bottom half, is literally one effect. So, once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, Omni Negate, right? We're about to see an Omni Negate, but just hold on, right? Because we have special summon a Sulfachord card with an odd scale from your Pendulum Zone to your zone this card points to. So you move Coolia up, right, to a zone this card points to. Then negate the activation, right? Where is that? So yeah, this card points to. If you do negate the activation of the card that activated earlier, you quick effected to, then you can add a Sulfachord Pendulum monster with an even pendulum scale from your deck to your extra deck face up. So you basically move Coolia up, you negate the activation of the card that you were responding to, then you just move Gracia to your extra deck face up. It's so stupid. This card is so stupid. It's so broken. I don't know how other people aren't playing this already. This card is nuts. But yeah, it's probably just underutilized and underdeveloped. Don't worry, when we get good really good pendulum cards, like really scary tier 0 pendulum cards again, this will come up for sure, because this is a crazy card. It's generic. It's only any pendulum monster. It's so dumb. The only thing you need is a Sulfachord card in your odd scale, which is so easy. You just put Coolia, because she's a good monster to begin with. So anyway, yeah, good card. What other Link 3s we have? We have Unicorn. I mean, that's not a shocker to anybody. And then for Link 2s, we have Beyond the Pendulum. Obviously, it's a really good card. I don't have to explain this one. We have Musician. This card's pretty solid. Basically, you can swap a odd or even numbered card from your hand with an odd or even numbered card from your extra deck. And it has to be one is even, one is odd. So it's a pretty solid way to swap out cards if you need to fix some stuff. I believe it doesn't even have to be a Sulfachord either. It does not, which is great because that's a way to get harmonizing out of your extra deck and back into your hand. So that's pretty fantastic. Also, if you Pendulum Summon and you Pendulum Summon a Sulfachord monster, you can target one of them, add a Sulfachord Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand whose level equals the Pendulum scale of that monster. So it's a pretty fantastic way of, basically, you summon Gracia, and then you add Fancia to your hand. So it's pretty great. Then we have Hita. Hita's just good. It's good this format in particular because of Snake Eye. You're going to see them everywhere, so you might as well yoink their monsters out. Probably yoink out like a Promethean Princess or like a Ambler Whale or something, probably. Mostly an Ambler Whale, I guess. Because then you just go Ambler Whale, and it's like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what you would do with Ambler Whale, so maybe not. Probably Hita. You'll probably grab Hita from their graveyard and make a Link 4 out of those, so that's pretty funny. IP is IP, no shit. And then SP, also no shit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Z-Arc is just a big 4K beater that destroys all cards your opponent controls if you summon him with Soul Supreme King and you have her on the board. So yeah, that's pretty much it for all that, and that's it for the deck explanation. I know I said I wasn't going to go into the card by card as much, but we kind of have to for the extra deck because it's changed a lot since. So now we can go into the combos and the hands. Let's go try some test hands, and you can see how sick this deck truly is. Alright, let's give it a shot. This hand is something, I'll say that much. Alright, so we'll go Coolia, we'll go Duelist Alliance, we'll search up Pendulum Call, we'll use Pendulum Call here, we'll discard probably, ooh, it's tough. Tragically, I think it'd have to be Beauty, to be honest. She's not always a great win condition, you could probably get away with not using her. You get Harmonizing and Celestial off this, which is pretty strong. And then here, we want to make a scale 8 here. So we can go with Celestial here, which is super unfortunate. We want to ideally have him on field so we can get search in the end phase, but that's fine. Normal Summon Fancia here, we go Effect. Effect, we want to place Gracia almost every time without fail. This card is the card. It's truly the broken card in the deck. And then we're going to Special Summon Dreamia because she has a second effect. I forgot to mention this effect in the card by card, where she can Special Summon herself if a Sulfachord is in a Pendulum Scale. So we're going to Special Summon her. Then we're going to Link 2. We'll make Beyond the Pendulum here. Since Electromite is still not in the format somehow. We go Beyond the Pendulum effect. We'll search. We pay 1,200 life points for that. Pretend I did that. La-di-da. Go on with your day. We will grab Angelia here. So we can get into the Coolia at the end. And now we go Pen Summon, so we'll Pen Summon the Angelia, the Harmonizing. Whoops, we want to put her over here, not there. And then we go Dreamia. Or no, we could go Fancia. It really doesn't matter. We'll go Fancia and we'll go the Gracia. And now we go Chainlink 1 Gracia, Chainlink 2 Harmonizing, and then Beyond the Pendulum if we want as well. And they can't respond to any of that, which is pretty strong. So the Harmonizing is going to special the White Wing. The Gracia is going to add us the Harmonia, the field spell, pretty strong. And now we have a way to get into Berserker if we wanted to. So with this, we're going to go 3 here. We'll go 3 like this. And go into Kulia here. And then we can go Angelia effect. We can tribute herself off. Special the Kulia from deck. Then now we have lots of stuff we can do here. We can keep the Gracia on board, to be honest, because it's pretty strong here. And we just go Synchro 8. It's a pretty strong board, actually. And make Berserker. So pretty much we have Berserker. We have Kulia already. We have Gracia. Then we have a Negate and Special Kulia again anyway. And then we have Place and Even. And to be honest, I think we have all the evens that we want to begin with. We could probably place Cutia or Elidia. Probably Elidia, to be honest, just to get a bounce if we need it. If we somehow lose the crackback. Or lose before we get crackback. Because this deck is crazy gas. It doesn't end, as you can see. So we could have made another Link 2 if we wanted to as well. We could have honestly just made IP. Which realistically we could. We should make IP here and then just go nuts. Or we could make SP. Doesn't really matter inherently. Technically SP is actually a pretty good choice here. So we actually could go SP. In fact, let's go SP just for the sake of it. Go SP pass, right? And now we have SP plus Grand Self-Core Kulia plus Draco Berserker plus Kulia when she's special summoned. This is a pretty unbeatable board, to be honest. This is a pretty crazy good start for the opening hands. And then we also have Harmonia. I forgot to mention that. We also have this. So we can place whatever back to our hand here. So we could do... I mean, honestly, the best card to probably add to our hand is probably Kulia, because then if we lose Kulia at some point, which we will through this effect, we'll just scale another one. That's pretty silly. But yeah, that is it for that hand. Let's try one other hand, because it's not always going to happen. It's not always going to be the craziest card in the world. Or craziest hand. What on earth is this? Now, this is a bad hand. This is one where you cry and you lose. Yeah, you actually just lose if you have this hand. That's pretty bad. Let's try another one. This one's pretty good. This is a really good one, actually. So, this one's interesting because we could normal summon Cutia and then add another card. That's pretty strange, because we almost don't even need Pendulum Call for this one, to be honest. It's just pure bonus. But in fact, we will do it just to get the pure bonus, because I think it's worth it. I'm trying to think, is it worth going crazy? Well, we have... Okay, if we go this, right? Here's the thing. If we go like this, here's 2 ways we can go about this hand. Let's do both ways, just to show you. So the first way we can go about it is normal Cutia. We go effect. Hopefully we don't get ashed. We add the Dreamia, right? And then Dreamia will special summon herself. And then we go Link 2 into Beyond. Oh, I guess we could do it this way. It's actually probably better. We go Beyond effect. We just add whatever. I think it really doesn't matter because we can go Pendulum Call and get 2 better cards anyway. So we could probably just go effect and we can add something that we don't really care about for consistency's sake. I mean, realistically, we could just add another 3. We could just add Fancy and discard it because we don't really need it. The worst that happens is your opponent summons Hita and takes it, but who cares? We go Pendulum Call. Technically, you can still do this because it only negates monster effects and pendulum effects, so we're good. We still can do that. We get the Harmonizing and the Celestial Magician. This is technically better. I was wrong. Never mind. This is way better. And then you do Pen Summon now. So we go Harmonizing, this guy, and Dreamia. And we go Harmonizing effect. Now, unfortunately... oh no, it does make it so you can't respond. Yeah, so that's pretty good. We got Harmonizing Magician to special the White Wing. We have Celestial to activate effect to basically do Magnamut's effect, but for pendulums. So that's pretty strong. And then we can still make Berserker, and then we can still make the Kulia if we we wanted to. So, realistically speaking, we could do that. I think I will. Just to go into the Berserker, and then we go these two, or no, we can go these two actually into the Kulia link, right? And then we can go set the soul, and now we have Dreamia being protected by Kulia, sort of. You can't negate it, basically. Then we have Soul of Supreme King summoning out Ziyark to pop all their cards, and we also have Draco Berserker on top of that, and Kulia's negate. So we have a lot of interruption in this case. So let's go over it one by one again, one more time. So if they Feather Duster, we have Dreamia to protect. If they do something, I don't know, like they summon something like Shureg or something, they try to banish Kulia, we go Kulia, special summon the Kulia in the back row, negate, and then we place something like probably Gracia, because we still won't have her for some reason. So we place her in the extra deck face up. And then we can, you know, use Draco Berserker at any point to banish something that might be an extender or something. And basically just make them concede. It's pretty silly. Oh, and then we also have Kulia on top of that. So we can Ghost Ogre, a monster that's a baby monster. So that's pretty wild. In general, I think this is a fantastic deck. I think this will go super well. Also, a reason why I think it will go super well is have a look at the attributes. Look at how many different attributes are going on in this deck. Try to tell me that Protoss is going to mess with me, because the only thing that's really going to be a problem is Dark. But the thing is, we're not going into Draco Berserker unless we summon these guys anyway, and these guys are already Dark, so if we aren't making them, we're not making them, that's it. So, whoop-de-doo, we don't have Draco Berserker. Okay, fine, we can make SP or something anyway. Actually, we can't make SP, can we? Can we make SP? We cannot. Okay, well, we can do other stuff. There's lots of other options. There's so many options in this game, you don't know what to do with them. Pretty broken. The only other thing I guess we couldn't technically do is we can't make Ziyark either, because it's also Dark. So choosing Dark is still a good option. That's the one most people will do. But you can still get around it, because all these guys are not Dark. There's not a single SOLFACHORD that's Dark. There's Light in the extra deck, and then everything else, Wind and Water and Earth and all that for the other attributes for the other guys in the main deck. So, yeah, this deck is going to go fine through Protoss. It's also going to be pretty good through Colossus because of the fact that you have Elegance for 1-card scaling, right? So that's pretty strong. We didn't even see that at all. But yeah, this card's a 1-card scales, right? So you don't even need to draw any cards or add cards, right? We also do Fancia to go from deck to extra deck. So again, like, that doesn't add technically to from main deck to hand, right? So there's so much recursion that isn't involved with adding from deck to hand straight up, other than Gracia's effect, basically, is the only one that's kind of a bummer. We can't really do much about that, but everything else is no problem. So we can play through Colossus without an issue, and we can play through Protoss with very little issue because of the way that the deck is built. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time when I have an update for you on some other decks. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.